With a passion, I hated it.
Yeah.
Couldn't think of anything redeeming. It was old people's music,
Right.
you know. And it was, I mean, you could go to a supermarket and go shopping, and you'd hear that music on. You might as well.
So it was sort of more like a music thing.
Oh, I hated it. I couldn't find anything that I liked about it, except that it got the parents out of the house.
It was a very easy thing to get involved with for either commercial reasons, which was the obvious one. A lot of artists that had been totally devoid of any connection with that type of music, even vaguely.
Like who?
Well, I mean, Rod Stewart, for instance, made a point of doing a disco cut on his album, and he is definitely an old rock and roller at heart.
I wouldn't call it a disco. I hate that word. Let's call it dance music.
Right.
It's along that lines, but it's heavily disguised.
Mm. Did it worry you when some people said, not only critics, but bands said that you'd copped out by doing a disco number?
Nah, I was only jealous because they couldn't do the same.
Right.
Three or four of the best records, you know, were made. The Stones did one of the best disco records of the year. And I think
Misery.
Misery. And I think our ones was good too.
Right.
But we got in before everybody else. That's what upsets them, you see. And they would go home crying. But if they'd have thought of it, they'd have done it.
I don't see it as being unhealthy as a phenomena, the fact that you can go to a place and dance and identify and whatever, you know, I mean, and move, just the physical aspect of disco is a very healthy thing, you know. But when it translates so heavily into a purely musical form, you know, to where all you're hearing on a lot of stations is disco, because disco as a creative thing is you know, death.
A lot of people have criticised disco over the last, say, 2 years because it has become so big. Do you think it's been fair criticism overall?
No, I think that just like any new form of music, you have good and bad. And a lot of people are taking the time to bring out all of the bad,
right,
and really try to use that as an example of disco. And that's very silly, because you got Donna Summer, you have us, you have the Village People, and we've made some good records, we feel. Right. And we're not ashamed of them. And it's just like rock or anything that's new. It's criticized at first, but they're starting to accept it now.
A lot of the modes of music that are created to sell, they plug a label onto it real quick, like this is disco,
right,
this is punk, this is rock and roll, this is jazz fusion. Really, all those things are really meaningless, because we're all affected by all this music all the time. And in fact, every one of us probably here in this room was down at the disco dancing a short time ago and getting off to it and having a great time, and not really hung up on some kind of a stigma of ooh, that's disco.
Disco is a valid form of music if it's used properly. It's like soul in the 60s. They eventually turned it into factory music. And the Talking Heads are the best disco band in the world. Bowie used disco brilliantly in Fame. I can think of several people who've used disco excellently. Stones have used it brilliantly. Blondie used it brilliantly. It's not the form of music that's bad.